with the council candidates for District 1 in South Knoxville. And we were talking about policing at the first part of the broadcast, and I want to stick with that because it makes up some 43% of the city budget pie, which is the largest amount in the city. One question to all of you, and then a deeper question, but this is a yes or no. And let's start with you, Mr. Hayes. Do you have full confidence in the city's police chief, Eve Thomas? Should she keep her job, yes or no?
I would say no, but at the same time, Chief Thomas isn't the problem. The problem is the whole system of policing. And how the whole system is ripe with systemic issues such as racism, such as classism. So it's just deeper than just replacing one person. The community actually needs power over the budget of public safety, over the disciplinary actions of officers, right? And they need to be consulted and have power to see those changes done. So it's bigger than just one person.
I want to dive into that in just a second, but Ms. Murphy, your thoughts. Full confidence, yes or no, in Chief Thomas?
I think Chief Thomas is in a hard position because right now we have a city government that are not supportive of the police. And so how can any city police chief be doing her job? Something I've been looking at is the police advisory and review committee, and nobody's looked at this. You should definitely take a look because they had 38 different issues come up from citizens that reported to Park in the last year. And I haven't had a chance to really dig into each of those issues, but I fully intend to because I think we need to look at, is it a leadership issue or is it a systemic issue throughout the police department?
So just before, I want to hear more about that, but before we get into those details, yes or no, do you have full confidence in the police chief?
I do not have full confidence.
Okay, Councilman Smith, full confidence in Eve Thomas, yes or no?
Currently, I have confidence in Chief Thomas, but I think there's a lot of unanswered questions. So I think it's important to understand not just the police budget, but what are the things that are important for policing, for community support. This council particularly has supported the police, and I think it's important that we have the best police department in the entire country. And we've invested in recruiting, training, and different things to make sure that there is that. So I do think there are some unanswered questions. I'm not a rush to judgment person. I'm one that understands the full picture, and I want to see some of Chief Thomas's response to the current investigation into racism or ideas of racism or instances of racism. No racism is acceptable, and how she responds to this will be extremely important.
Okay, Mr. Hayes, let's dive more deeply, as you raised. Council, the mayor recently proposed an extra $400,000 for an expansion of the co-responder program, where a behavioral health expert goes along with a police officer to respond on calls. They've done almost 200 so far, and the pilot program is a success according to the administration. Is that what you're talking about? Does there need to be more of that, and do you support that? And if not, what should happen?
So we need alternatives to policing, right? So just having a program where a police officer is accompanied with somebody else isn't an alternative, isn't sufficient, and isn't going to do anything to address the root causes of violence, such as poverty, homeless, substance use, and cycles of trauma, right? So our current whole public safety budget needs to be reallocated so we're addressing those root issues. And instead of having this co-response program, give the community what we've been demanding and asking for years, right? An alternative response team where we have a medical expert, a physical health expert, and a social worker, things of that nature, to go out and address emergencies and address issues instead of having a police officer come, because the current police department has shown that they have systemic issues such as racism and such as classism, and we need something more than that if we're actually to keep our communities safe. Ms.
Murphy, your take on that question.
So I understand that training is always great. Personally, I do not believe that having a social worker with a police officer at all times is what needs to happen. I think what we need to look at is how do we recruit better. If it is an issue with the quality of our police, which I'm not saying there is, but if there is an issue, how do we recruit better quality candidates? You do not get excellent police unless they are given excellent salaries, excellent support. And I've talked to them. I've talked to many city police, and they say they feel completely unsupported by the current administration, both council and mayor. So I think unless we support them, they cannot do their job.
Councilman Smith.
Yeah, I think the co-responder model is a great program because it works. We have data to show it works. And we have The policing is not just about arresting folks. And so the co-responder model is our innovative way of associating a medical care worker with the police officer. Police officer gets there, makes sure it's safe for the mental health worker to engage the community, whatever the situation is, and they're able to divert folks from jail. We have also the behavioral urgent care center that most folks don't realize we have, which is if someone's having a mental health crisis, we don't want to just take them to jail. We have the behavioral urgent care center, which we funded again this year with more funding, that allows folks to avoid jail, calm down, mental health workers, caseworkers to be assigned for folks. That's the best comprehensive way to handle mental illness, particularly without over-policing. And the police department has welcomed this program. I think it's been extremely successful with Sergeant Clinton and the social workers that have gone alongside him. And now we have a comprehensive response to really urgent matters and issues that are more related to mental health.
All right, Councilman, we appreciate it. We're going to dive into some other issues that face council when we come back here on Inside Tennessee. Back in a moment with the District 1 candidates.